Welcome to the Counteract YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for this short video tutorial.
Hello everyone, this is Phil here, and I've got with me Felicity.
Hello.
And also Louis.
Hello.
So this is the second buying webinar we're doing, and we're going to be looking at particularly recommended ordering this afternoon. So as usual, we're recording this, so if you don't get a chance to listen to it all, then you'll be able to go on our YouTube channel probably tomorrow and watch it as many times as you like. Okay, it'll probably take about 35 minutes, we think, don't we, today, to go through it. So we'll get cracking. Right, Felicity.
Excellent, jolly good. So, yes, buying was covered in our last one, and there's someone else. Sorry, we might have to stop a moment to admit people from the lobby.
Apologies for that.
Excuse us.
We there are a few late arrivals, but that's all right. They're all welcome.
Okie doke. So, yeah, recommended ordering. There are two main ways of setting a system to recommend orders. One of them is where you use min and max as an order rule, and this is what we call a very sort of basic and easy to understand way of doing recommended ordering. You tell the system, I want to only ever get down as far as 10 of these, and I never want to order more than 50 of them. And so as soon as it gets to 10, it says it wants to order up to 50 or up to a suitable amount, a suitable size according to the pack size and the minimum order quantity. It does take those things into consideration. Other than that, that's all it works off. So that's about all I'm going to say about min-max today. What we're really going to talk about is the way that the system can record information about its sales that it's doing, i.e. worth demand for products, and how it can use that information to suggest to you what it thinks it needs to order. Obviously there's a bit more setup involved, and housekeeping is of the utmost importance because your stock needs to be right. So first of all, I'm just going to go and look at this calculation here. So if the system's looking at recommended ordering, first of all, it works out the target stock. And that's calculated from the lead time, and the lead time is automatically being calculated on products by working out the date of the order and the date to when that was being received. And I'll show you how you can actually set an expected lead time if that's a bit more erratic than it should be, so that the system will always use that rather than a calculated one. Plus the stock holding. And the stock holding is really the number of days of stock that you want to have at any one time. Its use really is saying, you know, I'm okay for a number of days. I don't need to be ordering the moment there's a product that needs ordering. I don't want to order that in. So you haven't got sort of masses of tiny little orders being suggested. It gives you a sensible ordering gap from a supplier. Most systems are set so that the most frequent way is that stock holding is what is used for this calculation. There is a control file that allows you to say, no, actually I'm not interested in putting stock holding in. I want to set for every supplier an order frequency. So you say I want to order every 10 days or every 15 days or whatever. Anyway, that gets multiplied by the service level, which is just a control file setting on the system, which is set by the percentage. It is the percentage of requests you want to satisfy from stock. This level can be changed. It can be changed by category, and categories on the stock system are splitting products into low value, medium value, high value, low turnover, high value, low turnover, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So cement is high turnover, low value, where power tool is probably low turnover, high value. And that is then multiplied by the forecast, and this is the clever thing that the system's doing from the weighted demand history over the past rolling 12 months, it's working out the demand at the beginning of every month, or end of every month, I suppose. The demand for the current month is worked out. So that the forecast for that month is worked out, and that forecast is then divided by 21, the average number of days in the working days. We're just going to check that nobody's waiting.
We haven't got any late arrivals.
No late
arrivals. That's
so
fine. Carry on.
Go to the next page, and that target stock is then used for the recommended order calculation. Works out its required stock from the target stock plus any requirements from customer orders that haven't already been ordered on back to back. So if you've got customer orders where the stock is unavailable, there is no order for that stock, then it will include those customer orders on the recommended order. Less current stock, less stock on order. And a little list of things which can adversely affect a recommended order. If you're using if you haven't got stock holding on products, then it's going to offer you an order far too often. Forecast errors, if stock has been a bit erratic and there's been problems with stock quantities and things of any sort. Inaccurate lead times. Hanging around old purchase orders and old customer orders, if those are sitting on the system sort of uncompleted, unfulfilled, you've got customer orders that have actually been turned, the sales being done separately, so the customer order's still sitting there looking as though the stock's required. Those things will all really muck up the recommended ordering. And if your stock goes negative at all, you haven't got the right stock quantities, then that doesn't really help matters. Housekeeping.
Stock checking is important as well.
Oh yes, stock check then will stop you. Is it a stock check?
Spot checks, yeah.
Yes, that's right. All those sorts of things. So, moving back to.
Oh,
sorry, you had another person.
New late arrival. Hang on a second. Sorry about this. We got our settings wrong slightly, but there we go. That's our next person now. So fine. Sorry for sleep.
Right.
Feels a doorman.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I thought we would go and look at the, I don't mean ordering, maintenance, to go and look at the order rule, which is what we've been talking about between the difference between min-max and the standard and the other rules which use these sophisticated recommended ordering.
That we just looked at, yeah.
I'm trying to think what product I was looking at. I think I put in wheelbarrow, didn't I? Oh, there we go. It's this field here, the order rule, this product standard. If this was a brand new product, then it would be set to new, and when it's a new product, it literally just orders things when it needs them, and whilst it builds up experience about forecast and demand, and after X number of months, the default is 3 months, it will turn itself into a standard product, and then it will use the proper rules. Here's our min-max with the minimum and the maximum. We've got replacement, which is a bit like min-max, except you just put one level. If you've got things, I don't know, really big expensive things that you want to make sure you've got something in stock of it, but at any time, and so the moment you sell it, you want to reorder it, so you'd put one in there, and every time you sold one, it would tell you needed to order another one. Seasonal allows you to put months when you don't want it to be considered for recommended ordering. So I presume your salt would probably, you wouldn't be wanting to buy any of that possibly between March and August, and then you start thinking about it again. I might be wrong there, but discontinued is an order rule which means it won't be included in recommended ordering, and if you set a product on the price book to be withdrawn, then it automatically goes discontinued at all branches. And obviously I'm in the branch level here, so these can all be different between branches if required.
But if you want to use the computer ordering that you sort of mentioned, it's the standard rule, isn't it? That's what you want.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Then in addition to that, you've got a priority button which can be used. It isn't used that often. The only thing it gives you is that you can actually run a recommended a stock order review list, which gives you a list of priority products that are needing to be ordered. So I'm not sure how widely that is used, but that is really all it gives you. It doesn't sort of put it at the beginning of orders or anything. Bought centrally is all about if you do central buying, i.e. you have one branch which will buy for others. On the branches where you don't want them to order the product themselves, tick the bought centrally button and it will stop them doing so. Whole packs again is all to do with central buying, which it will probably make more sense when I show you the central buying, and I will mention that at the time. Then nothing more on this bit is to do with recommended ordering. We'll go and look at the individual suppliers in a moment. What I'm going to
And you can mass change these, can't you? These rules.
you can mass change these.
Yes, you have
yes,
to do
that's
this
right. Yes,
yourself.
it's the old
Group amend, stock
Group amend.
details.
group
Yeah.
amend product stock details is an absolute. Yeah. And once I look at the supplier, and I'll just nip in there to show how you can do the supplier level as well.
And so you could set computer ordering across just one range if you wanted to try it, couldn't you? You don't have to go.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, yes, and it's completely fine. And if there's some products which really lend themselves to minimum and maximum, and you're happy to keep those up to date, those min-max levels, then have a mixture.
Yeah, have a combination.
Whatever sort of ranges of products, it might be relevant. So on the supplier details side, good old brown and green. So for recommended ordering, there's nothing in particular on the depot, anything on the details, but it's the family screen that has some specific entries for recommended ordering over on this side. With recommended ordering, you can have the system set so that you have a recommended order generated when required overnight, and it will just be generated and sitting there on the system in the morning, which is what this one seems to be set to at the moment. You can alternatively, I think that's the least popular option actually that we've got sitting there. We've got print or in fact email automatically, so you can have recommended orders created and those emailed to designated people overnight. Alternatively, you can have it set to request only, which is the default in fact on the products, where you can go and look at the system and think about a supplier. You can see from the system which suppliers it thinks you ought to be ordering from, and then you can just prepare the recommended orders on the screen and turn them into orders when you're ready. So I'll leave that like that. Order frequency, here's this order frequency we were talking about, which you could completely base all your recommended ordering on. Alternatively, you can record here the order frequency that you want, and with it'll keep the last order and the next order date. And will work in conjunction with stock holding. Here's the lead time. Here's the actual lead time that the system's working out. And here's the expected lead time, which you can put in a definite lead time that is more realistic. Alternatively, it lets you actually put in a new actual, so that you can put in, well, actually, it's about 10 days, and the system will, when we say that, update the actual lead time and then keep on working and keeping the actual lead time correct according to what's actually happening. But I think probably expected lead time is the safest way to go if these figures aren't correct. And that's that. on the supply side. Overall, what we have back to this amend product stock details, and there's something much more suitable. There we go. At this level, this is where the stock holding is kept. And the stock holding, and the thought of having to apply a stock holding to every single product is possibly a little daunting. But there's nothing to stop you thinking, well, actually my stock holding should be 20 days generally, and just setting everything to be 20 days and tweaking a few.
Set everything to one and tweak a few.
Yes. So that at least you start with something relatively quickly. And I'll just mention briefly how you could do that relatively quickly in the group amend product stock details. Again, the system, you could put a new lead time in, or an expected lead time at actual product level if any products differ from the overall supplier family level of lead time. And that's all there is there as well. So from setting things up for recommended ordering, that's all the fields that are relevant. In the group amend product stock details, it's always worth remembering in the global lead by example, you've got things to do with associated suppliers, and change information for a supplier lets you, you do have to choose a supplier. So you would have to, you can't do this, the stock holding, for instance, all in one fell swoop, but you could do it supplier by supplier, because if you bring your supplier up, set the stock holding there, and okay, then you're going to be able to get ditto these actual lead time, expected lead time for the at the product level. Okay. And obviously this group amend also lets you change this sort of information, which is what we were saying before. And that and with the supplier one, the secret would be to choose the main supplier to be the one where you want it to change, probably. Depending on where you are, there's obviously either lots of work you've got to do here or not so much, if you're wanting to take on recommended ordering for the first time. But there's lots of possibility for changing things here. If you want to see all the information that the system uses to make its recommended ordering decisions for a product, look at stock display, and when we bring up our cement product, which is sold most frequently on our demonstration system, and go to the sales screen. On the front screen, you've got this month's current forecast figure, 12.4. You've also got the stock turn, which is the number of times the amount in stock at the moment, i.e. 1,490, will be sold over the next year. Onto the sales screen, where we have all the demand figures for the last rolling 12 months. Memo is where the customer order has been created, where the required date is beyond the lead time of the product. So that's what that figure is. There is an option as to whether you include memo demand in your recommended ordering or not. I think, so yes, if you're interested in that, ask us about it. Over this side, we've got lots of information. Here we have our 12.4 forecast. This is the forecast as it was last month. Here's our stock turn again. We've got information about sales. The largest sale, which
is a brand new feature in the last issue, which we have identified isn't working quite as it should be, and will be fixed soon. The high stock that we've had and out of stock days. Here we've got the average monthly demand as opposed to the weighted demand, which is used for calculating the forecast. Average quantity per invoice year to date last year, value per invoice, and then some more sales information year to date last year with quantities and numbers of invoices. So loads of information that might be of use when buying the product. And obviously this is the stock display screen, which you can get to from within any order anyway.
We have got update stock information from a CSV here, but that doesn't seem to have so much buying information on it. Obviously that's got order rule, I believe.
Yes, it has, yeah.
And the level if it's min max, and seasons and priority bought centrally, that sort of side, but that doesn't go down to the supplier side level. Right, okay, recommended ordering. As I say, you know, if you want any specific stock order review list printed out overnight or emailed, is more to the point these days, emailed, where I say print I mean email, overnight to anyone, a stock order review list, which would give you a list of suppliers and an overall quantity of what's required. Or you can have just a list of products for a stock order review list, and then you can take that list and work out what you the recommended orders you want to do. Prepare recommended order here is very flexible. If I choose screen inquiry, and here if I choose list families, it's just basically if you've only got one family per supplier, that's a list of suppliers where products are required. So this is the equivalent of my stock order review list, really, because it's saying on all these different suppliers. And if I want to carry on and do this one, Gloucester Tiles for instance, gives me a bit of general information down there.
And
go and look at
this information, that these are orders that the system thinks you need to place, those orders could be based on the standard rule, they could be based on
the min
max,
yes.
or specials,
Yeah.
or specials, couldn't
Oh,
they?
that's right. They could be.
Incorporate
These could
all three.
include items that are on customer orders.
Yeah.
I know that some companies only use recommended ordering for customer orders where they have to gather together a number of orders to put in a big order to a supplier. So you raise your customer orders, and every so often you do a recommended order on that supplier, and in come all the individual customer orders. Oh,
You've got to double click.
yes, sorry. I didn't double click. What I didn't do was say okay.
No, you didn't.
No,
You've got to double click.
Double click.
Oh.
Double click.
Double click. There you go.
And
Okay.
And now,
Okay.
I just say okay,
Okay.
and off it goes into this recommended order. So here it's telling me on each product, it gives me all the information as it does in an ordinary order. That's right, and I can use more features to drill down to the stock if I wish to. I think in this case we discovered, oh no, maybe lots of customer orders there where they're needed. You can also view related products if you want to add some other things, or actually get related products for that buying family. You can copy a previous order, which is a very new feature. I'm not sure if it's only in 27B issue. You can import a list of items from CSV, which could be useful occasionally. But of course, these are the copy previous order import is in an ordinary order anyway. An export, not quite sure what that's useful for. I think it was probably there and very useful before we had copy previous order.
Yes.
Or if
Yeah.
you want to export something that's in a and put it into another, import it into another supplier, because the copy previous order is only for
that
the
supplier.
existing supplier.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably its use. Purchase history, to look to see, what orders you did for that product we're sitting on. So here's the other orders that have been made for it and what was paid, and you can drill down into those. So at this point, I've got the opportunity to save, which means I save it as a recommended order, or I create a manual order. I've also got, if I wasn't actually happy with what I'd got there and I wanted to make it a bit larger, I can use recalculate order value. This has all sorts of options, so I can actually say, right, okay, lead time in a number of days, bring in some other product. I can use a fixed stock holding, and I can choose the stock holding. Say, if the stock holding is this, what would it suggest? Increase it to a target value, increase it to a target quantity, or increase it to a target weight. So all those ways of recalculating and adding things onto or increasing the quantity that you're purchasing of the products there.
So if you needed to get it up to your carriage-free value, perhaps, or whatever, you can use the system to suggest what you should be ordering.
I mean, it's difficult. This one's already at its carriage-free value, as it's showing me there. So.
And these are only suggestions, isn't it? I mean, you can go in and change the quantities, whatever you want
exactly.
in any line.
Do
so
whatever you like. That's right. It's just an ordinary order. But when I'm done, I can just say create order, or I just leave it as a recommended order.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, so it's a sort of work in progress recommended order. I mean, if you have the system creating recommended orders overnight, then those are automatically removed from the system after 5 days, I think. So your system isn't sort of, if you don't turn them into a purchase order, it doesn't clog up with old ones.
Yeah.
So if you turn this on, it's not the end of the world if you only concentrate on a few suppliers. So that's the simple prepare recommended order. We've also got company prepare recommended order, which is the central buying that I talked about, where you can choose screen inquiry. And here it does insist that you ask for a supplier. So if I put my friends in brown green, and I can choose whether that's any supplier for the product or main supplier. So I might say main supplier, and I want to see the required products. And there's an option for min and max where you can actually just sort of say, follow the normal calculation rules for min and max, or if you are actually over the minimum but below the maximum, raise it up to just raise the items up to the maximum stock level, which is sometimes something people want to do. So if I just say, okay, here, and choose that sales one, and now I've got a list and it's telling me that I can do a company order for this value, because Monmouth, Ross and Bristol, well, not Bristol doesn't want anything, these other two don't, but Monmouth and Ross want some stuff. When I'm ready, I can say create orders here. It then gives me the option, do I want to create one single company order that comes into the head office, or do I want to break down orders for every branch, in which case it will allow you to choose if it's a single company order, it allows you to choose raise inter-branch transfer.
Yeah.
For orders for every branch, it does just orders for every branch, and then you could also list branches to show whether you want to do some branches into the head office and others to be delivered direct and have their own orders. And you carry on through and do it. The thing that I was going to mention at this point was where there was a field to do with pack size, but whole packs it was called, on the individual product, and that applies here. If you do a single orders for every branch, do you want that to be up to the
made up to full pack size?
Yes, I think actually it's a single company order. I think, do you want it to be made up to a full pack size for each branch, or are you happy to be splitting packs at head office to then distribute them round to the branches.
So that example there, single company order, it would raise an order for delivery to Monmouth, and you could have it automatically raising the transfer for Ross, the ones that they needed.
Yeah.
Or you could do order for every branch. It would just create 2 purchase orders, one for Monmouth, one for Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. But obviously, if you've got more than 2 branches, that's actually quite a tool, really, and that is used in earnest by one company, at least, because it really is quite a useful thing. Now, finally, we've got something called the buying control panel, which you probably won't see on your system. It's an optional extra, and it sort of brings together the prepare recommended order and the prepare company recommended order. It can be used by individual branches or as a head office stock buyer type facility. And you can see the things we've been looking at, the different orders. Brings it all onto this screen here. These ones beginning with C are central buying products, and the B's are all individual branch for the Monmouth branch that I'm in. I can sort of reduce it down to just show the central ones, just show the branch ones, if I wish. The asterisk here means that on those orders there are actually some customer order requirements. So I think that's possibly why they're all at the top. But you can sort things anyway by buyer. You can click on the columns and it will sort it accordingly. You can click on the order value. So if you want to concentrate on the bigger ones first, you can click a couple of times and you've got that there. You'll notice here that we've got a couple are saying work in progress and one saying order. What this means is that earlier today we went in, or in fact yesterday, we went in and started to work on this one, but we just saved it. We didn't create an order from it. And this one here we did do today, created the order for it. But this gives you a picture of where you are with your buying for the day, things you've still got to think about and go through and go into. And this is actually the company one I chose. So that's the company screen where we can do create orders and go through that whole thing. And an individual branch one. In we go, and here we are back to my Cuprinol that I did carefully save and not create the order. But if at this point I say create order, yes, pretty good PDF maybe. Then I'm back in this screen, and now that one should be shown as ordered. Yeah, there we go. So that one's ordered now. I don't know, this key is to do with this column, which is saying whether it's a manual. It was that field where we said about the automatic recommended orders being raised or manual orders. So it's giving you that information, or whether it's based on frequency or not, which we haven't got our set frequency to, or what the frequency is. This here, there's a column showing me which branches it's covering. So I think there's lots and lots. You can narrow it down by buyer. Another thing you can do, because all the calculations for recommended ordering are made overnight. The system goes through and works out what it wants to order. There is an option on the menu that allows you to recalculate the recommended ordering figures, but in this buying control panel you can say, actually, could you just refresh this order? I know we've just had a few sales for that supplier's product, so ask the system to refresh one order based on what's already been sold today. Alternatively, you can click on it, it will go through and do the whole overnight process of all suppliers. That probably isn't something people would do lots of times in a day because it hogs the system a little bit, but it's perfectly possible to do it after lunch, you know, if you're only beginning to work on it then, and you've had a whole morning of sales. So, as I say, that is optional, and therefore Phil's going to tell us.
It does give. I mean, it is good because it does give you real visibility of your orders, all your orders on a screen during the day, which you can refresh as you go along and see where you are. The reason it's an optional extra and not included in core is because we did it as a joint project with a customer who's very keen to have it, and we shared the development costs with them. So we've got to deal with them so that if anybody's interested with it, we can let you have a trial of it and you can see how it goes. And if you're after it, there's a cost to have it, a one-off fee to have it, and then we give some of that cost back to the customer who joint funded the development with them. So if you're interested in that, let us know, and we'll set you up a test to have a play with. And it's extremely well used by the people who use it.
Yeah,
It does seem to.
Yeah, the customer that has been using it for about 18 months, and I think we've ever queried 2 or 3 things from it in 18 months, and they use it on a daily basis. So it's very good.
It is very good.
Quite a lot of people use it on a daily basis.
I think there's quite a few of our customers actually would really benefit from
I
having
think so.
that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, if you're interested, let us know, and we'll set you up a trial for it.
Yep. So I think that's it today.
I think that's plenty of information, hopefully, for you for today. As I say, usual thing. Any questions? Contact support. Send us a ring or send us an email, and we'll be delighted to help.
There is a bit of help on in here on recommended orders. In help topics, I think if you search on recommended orders, you get quite.
Central buying,
Yes, there's central buying,
recommended
and there's recommended order, and
yeah.
these are actual quick reference guides. Very good.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, okay.
But yeah, have a look at that. But if any queries, come back to us. Thank you for Felicity and Louis for all the work in preparing this today. The next webinar is on the 19th of September. It's moving into the autumn at 3 p.m. and that's going to be on sales analysis. So that'll be a cracker, no doubt. As usual, we're recording this, so we'll pop it onto the YouTube channel, and you can watch it as many times as you like. Right, thanks for your attention, and have a good day, everyone. Cheers then. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this short tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on the information displayed on the screen for further assistance.